Hello, you're listening to the Neil Hampton Show. My name's Joey, and I'm joined by Neil.
Hello.
And because Paul has pulled out for the reasons of sounding like a grumpy, muffled polar bear, we're joined by Dom for the whole thing. How's it going?
Hiya, it's good to be on the show again.
Really, why Paul felt the need to distinguish that from his usual self, I've no idea, but get well soon, Paul, who is very poorly. Moments of the week, if there are any. Are there any this week, on the week where we progressed the FA Cup 5th round and scored 3 actual real-life goals in a game? Neil, what about you?
Been a good week, Joseph. Been very
Great
good.
week.
There's been a bunch of stuff. I can't pick just one thing. I mean, obviously, Saturday at MK Dons was a great occasion. Helped very much by the fact that I don't drink at games very often. But I drank quite a bit of alcohol on that day, and it aided it. I can see why people do it. I mean, it doesn't aid my recollection of much of the match. I was there, I was present, and I enjoyed it. But specifics are way off limits. But just a whole day, really. We turned up at Cov Station. Didn't really know where to go, but we just followed the sound of the Cov fans singing, that was pretty cool. I had a fantastic carvery. Like I don't know if I mentioned or not, but I did hospitality. Yeah. That was the only way I could get in. So I had a brilliant carvery to start the day off. A couple of wines, a couple of beers. It was very good, very tasty.
Yeah, to be clear, that carvery was part of hospitality. You just didn't go to a Mitchell and Butcher carvery and then watch the game, illicitly on some sort of TV, presumably.
No, it's not my standard choice of a pre-game meal, carvery. I would have, given the fact that KFC and McDonald's are outside, I would have quite happily gone there. But no, we had a nice carvery, sat on a table with some lovely gents. Can't remember their names, but they were very, very calm. We had a good chat with them. Then, we watched the game, and that was just spectacular. And as great as that was, my favourite moment was actually when we got back to Cov Station a little later on, and just the atmosphere, everybody singing, coming off the train. And this was late. It wasn't one of the earlier trains. It was, a couple of hours later. And it was just a weird old... Because it's the FA Cup, there's something about it, even now. Even though we're probably not going to win it and all that sort of stuff. Well, we're not going to win it. But everybody's really sort of whipped up into the whole day. They got behind it and just turning up at Cov Station at 8 o'clock, 8:30, whatever it was, and just having, everybody singing songs about going to Wembley and all that sort of stuff. What a lovely day.
It's awesome when there's loads of us and we're all happy, isn't it?
It is, and everybody was happy. There was no madness, there was no fighting or anything, as far as I could see. It was just a load of people really enjoying it. And I'm going to name check someone. Brett Woodward, he's a listener of the show. Never met him, I just know what he looks like. And when we got back to Coventry, I saw him with his whole family just all singing, all really happy, all obviously very pissed. But that was a good moment as well. So if he's listened to this and he hears me talking about him, I enjoyed watching him from afar like an idiot. Just probably should have said hello, but no, that was a good moment as well. I'm glad he was happy.
I gather from Twitter that the Weatherspoons that everyone tries to pile into was a bit more reluctant to let people in. But I've been I've been in there when we've taken a load of people. I assume it was when Stephen Elliott scored them 2 goals when we won 3-2 that year, and we took a lot of fans that day. And Weatherspoons completely wasn't ready for it. I've never seen a pub get completely taken over like that day. It was fantastic. We're going to hear more about the game from Dom later, but I would like to hear just a little bit more about the carvery that you had.
It was just a different level of quality. When we went to Hospitality Joe at Cov, and we had a nice enough meal, but it wasn't the best food in the world. It was just it was passable for a good meal. This was just supremely tasty. 2 types of meat. I was allowed turkey and beef. Can you believe it?
Yes.
An almighty Yorkshire pudding, and I could have gone up for more if I wanted it. I mean, it was just very well done, I thought. Compliments to the chef or the guy behind serving me. I don't know who it was.
Dom, are you a carvery man?
I don't go out of my way for a carvery, but what's not to like about a lot of hot meat and potatoes?
I think the thing with the carvery is, if you ask me, when it comes to culinarily speaking, variety is the spice of life. And I don't think you get a better variety with a meal than a carvery. That is choice aplenty. And you can customise it to your own needs. I feel like I'm getting over to slightly off topic. You'll be joining us on the Carvery City weekly show for more carvery chat. But Don, what was your moment of the week?
It was when the goal went in and just sort of watching all those celebrations unfolding around me, sort of pints getting chucked and flares going off, and thinking to myself, "That's what it feels like to be one of the bad boys."
Were you in the thick of it then?
Not particularly, but just because it was just like a whole crowd of people and everyone just sort of going mental. It's like, this is a change up from my normal pace of life. But one thing about the flares is I have no idea how people are getting these flares into grounds, because I was patted down quite thoroughly. There was a bit of a brushing in an awkward area, and I had a chocolate bar in my coat pocket, and I was asked to explain it. So if I can't even get a chocolate bar in the ground without explaining it, I can only sort of speculate on how people are getting flares into the ground.
Presumably in their flared trousers.
Oh, zing. Very good.
Nah, it was rubbish. But I don't think I've ever seen a flare like in real life. You know, like non-set off. I actually wouldn't know what they look like in the flesh.
Yeah,
where'd you get a flare from anyway?
Yeah.
Flare shop.
I wonder how often they'd have to be going off at matches before they'd sell club branded ones in the club shop. Just with like a disclaimer on it that just said not to be used at football matches. Yeah, good stuff. I'm going to go for I just couldn't afford to get down to MK on Saturday, and I don't think I'd have got a ticket as it happens. But I went out for a run for those of you who've ever seen me, I know that seems unlikely, but I did. For the second half, and it was just I celebrated the goal like an absolute lunatic while I was out, and it was just it was just a really, really nice thing. I just got my headphones on and I was out, and I really didn't. It's been really, really nice recently because we've had a lot where I have been miserable and pessimistic, and actually in the last couple of months the team have proven me wrong over and over again. And there's not just the team, but individual players are really sort of just making me eat a lot of my words. Biamu, who I'm starting to joke about, but I really love him. I think just recently he's been asked to do so much, and the improvement in him is just astonishing. And Neil, you're going to talk about the Cambridge game, but I thought his setup for Doyle's goal, I know that wasn't the intended pass, but the lead up to it, you just think I'd have never have thought that you'd have been able to beat a guy like that when we first saw you. His all-round game now is coming on to such an extent, and McNulty just keeps scoring, which I never expected. We beat Swindon in the game that we shouldn't have beat them, and we're through in the cup, and we could have easily just bombed against Cambridge, but we didn't. We came back roaring. I'm really quite happy at the minute.
Yeah, you have to be, don't you?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I'll tell you what, because you were listening in, Clive did a really good job of giving that goal some welly when he came to describing it, because obviously, like Dom says, it wasn't like an emphatic goal or that, and it was a little bit, what's going on here? But I listened back to him obviously describing it, and got a few goosebumps actually. Listen to Clive. Yeah. He really made you feel it.
I tweeted something after the game, and it is absolutely sublime listening to the commentary when it's Eakin and Dave Bennett, because it feels like Eakin is. I tell you what, it feels a little bit like. I think if I ever said this before, it's probably apologies if this is a repeat thing. Do you remember when that England game got rained out and Roy Keane had to sit and listen to Gareth Southgate and Adrian Chiles, and it was like he'd sold his soul to the devil to get his footballing ability, but the price was that he had to sit in his own personal hell for the rest of his life, and that was the manifestation of it. I get that same sense with Eakin and Bennett, because I think that Eakin, I don't think he dislikes him or anything, but Dave Bennett's trade is passion and awful jokes and observations, isn't it? And Eakin just ain't having any of it at all. And there's so many, just these tiny pregnant pauses between the two of them where you just think, and you can't have Bennett without Eakin, you can't have Eakin without Bennett, because they need to balance each other. And I actually think they're quite good. I think it's quite a good listen, but you just think one of you is having a much better time than the other.
In tandem, it kind of does work. I mean, I think individually they're dreadful in their own way. He can just make mistake after mistake, and just like completely inexplicable mistake, like confusing York City for like Man United and stuff like that. Whereas Dave Bennett just sort of, it's just even the way he pronounces words. I mean, I remember for years when Mercier used to have it, and he used to call him Gary McJeffrey all the time. And I just thought that's just, you just got to listen to this guy, and he's a bit of a wally, but you can't help but love him.
I like the fact that he talks about having a beer, and awful for a guy that's meant to be doing like co-commentary. Is that as soon as you like 2-0 up, he's just like, "Oh, I'll be going for a beer later." You're just like, "That's not." I'm sure that's not part of the job, Benno. And the other thing is, I listened to him in a match ages ago where we had done an absolute stinker. But you got the impression that he hadn't wanted to come out and do the co-commentary anyway. And he kept making the same joke about, oh, you don't need me here, I'm going to go home. Like he was hoping that somebody eventually would be like, yeah, there's no chance of this game being pulled back. You might as well get off early, mate. You see, you must know that's not how this works. But his passion's great. And actually, when it comes to, weirdly, I think, you get no insight from him, but the passion, and it's funny and everything. But occasionally, when he does dissect something, when he bothers, he's not too bad, is he?
No, it's every time a goal goes in, there's the same reaction. It's the deafening scream into the microphone, which is an inch away from him. It's like, you're on radio, Benno. Move away slightly.
But I think it's really endearing just how he's so passionate, isn't he? And that does make it a better listen, doesn't it? Right, so let's do some football analysis, shall we? Dom, MK Dons, you predicted us to win, didn't you? In fact, it was the death of the curse, wasn't it?
Yeah, as I said, 20% of the time I'm right, 100% of the time.
I won a bet, guys. I just remembered that should have been my moment of the week.
Oh, what did you have?
I won. I had drawing half time, Cov to win. I won 50 quid.
That's decent. Off what? How much? What were the odds? 2 quid.
No, I put a tenner on it, I think.
Oh, okay, well, that's still very good.
£8 or something. I put like I said, I don't quite remember, but I got 50 back, so it was a good bet.
Happy days.
Anyway, sorry about that.
No, it's quite all right. Yeah, the death of the curse, Dom.
Yeah, I can only be too happy, and of course I predicted a win against Cambridge on last night. So I'm 2-2 at the moment. So
holy moly,
getting some wrong.
Yeah, between the power of the Neil Lamptey t-shirt and the death of the curse, there's no way that we're not going up top this season. How
that shirt's crazy, isn't it?
Well, yeah, quite. Talk us through the game then.
So when the team was announced, no one really had a clue what formation we were playing. It was Shipley and Maguire-Drew who dropped out of the team, the two wingers, and in come Barrett and Bayliss. Sorry, Barrett and Kelly. And no one was sure, is that a 4-3-3? Is that some weird formation? As it turned out, it was a 4-4-2 with Bayliss playing on the right wing and Josh Barrett playing on the left wing. I was a little concerned at the start of the match, seeing that lineup going, well, have we just tried to shoehorn Bayliss in just anywhere in the team to accommodate Kelly being back fit? But in fairness, Bayliss looked like quite a good wide option. He was getting past his man. He was quite direct, showing some good touches, floating inside, and it worked to good effect. And then sort of as the game started, the first half hour or so, we really stretched. MK Dons had good pace in wide areas, and we were getting caught out with balls in behind a few times. It looked like if they'd scored one early, it could have been sort of a 2 or 3-0 defeat, and we wouldn't have offered much fight. And it didn't really help that Michael Doyle was giving the ball away quite a lot in front of his own goal, which wasn't helping. There's a few occasions where we just looked a bit panicked and overall defensively, but around the half-hour mark we improved massively. We got a couple of chances through Biamu and McNulty, and from then on we sort of moved up through the gears. At the start of the second half, MK did miss basically an open goal. If you watch it back, the cross comes into the striker, and it's just a terrible miss. Just like he just doesn't control the ball at all, and Burge is able to dive on it. The goal itself, Bayliss made a charge forward down right wing. There was a little bit of interplay with Kelly to play Mark McNulty in, who'd made a good run right into the channel. And because MK Dons had made a weird substitution where they'd taken off their left back, Dean Lewington, and put on a centre back, leaving them playing a defensive midfielder who was about 6'4" at left back. He was caught massively out of position. And then the centre back that they put on tried to intercept McNulty's cross into Biamu and basically fell over the ball. And Biamu kind of scuffed the strike and it went past the keeper and it's trickled agonisingly over the line. And I had no idea when the goal went in that it was actually a goal. It's taken me quite a lot of replays to convince myself that actually that went in.
An inordinate amount of time, I must say, for you to come to the same conclusion that everybody else.
Yeah, including the MK defenders, who you would have thought if there was any doubt about it, they would have tried to protest. So, don't know. I'm just my own form of VAR.
Am I wrong? Sorry, I thought the replay was quite conclusive that it was over the line, or have I just not seen that correctly?
I just think the way I watched it, I assumed that the more progress the ball made away from Biamu's feet, the more it was going in, and it goes past the line, curls, and sort of curls back out and hits the post. So that was where my confusion was. I wasn't expecting it to cross the line at that point, and I was befuddled.
Yeah, it was in. Quite a bit in. But just to pick back up on the point actually about the players that he brought in. I mean, the way I read that was that essentially Robins was playing what he considers probably his best players, and that's me guessing that I think he thinks there's something about Barrett, but because obviously the guy's not fit, but for him to actually throw him in suggests that he thinks he's probably his best option on the wing, and Bayliss is just too good not to play, and obviously he likes the middle of Kelly and Doyle, so that all it kind of made sense in the fact that he wanted to play these as many good players on the pitch as possible, and like you say, shoehorn them into a system. But when you've got someone with the speed of Bayliss, I think that can work for you. And he's getting shoved out there because he's able, really. You can throw him out there. And I thought his play for the goal was actually brilliant. He kept the ball for maybe sort of 20 seconds, which in a football match is a long time to have hold of the ball. And eventually got the ball through to McNulty, and it was a well worked goal. And I felt we were going to score some point during the day. I mean, like you say, MK Dons had a lot of possession. They started really strongly and they looked a league above from the way they started. But I felt like we were looking really good on the break, or at least we had opportunities on the break. And weirdly, for the first time I think ever, I saw Biamu as a kind of a threat on the break, a speedy option for us. I don't know where that's come from. I mean, I've only ever seen him as sort of a holder player, but he was getting the ball to his feet and actually knocking it past players and running. And like Joe said about the Cambridge goal, that's a sign of his confidence, really. Maybe that's a new part of his game, which is completely different, where actually with the ball at his feet, he's got some capability there as well. So generally, I thought it was a good, solid performance. And this may be the beer at the time talking, but I was never duly concerned about them, or unduly concerned about them, really. They kept the ball well enough, but it wasn't one of those games where I was just clinging on, hoping that, they weren't going to score. I just felt like they didn't really have much about them, and we were resolute enough and sort of defiant enough to stop anything that they threw at us, really.
I know that they missed a chance that was, as you say, that was pretty much an open goal, but didn't Stevenson miss a very good chance at the end? Was it quite a good save that the keeper made?
It was a good save and a good chance. And here's a little anecdote for you. I, for the whole second half, thought that was McGardrew playing centre midfield. And I was going to everybody, what is he doing in the middle of midfield? He wasn't even on the bench, was he? But no, that was stupid. But yeah, I think it was a bit of both, really. I mean, Stevenson did well to sort of craft the chance, and he got the ball back. And, you got good contact on it, put it on target, and I think you can probably say it was just one of those, the keeper got his leg down, and that would have been great, wouldn't it, to round off the day with a second goal, breakaway goal, 2-0, and one that we could have really celebrated because we'd known it was over the line, but alas, that didn't happen. But no, 1-0 was enough.
Dom, did MK Dons try and take it to us in any sort of sense, or were they... It's just interesting to me to know how we ended up winning it, because it feels to me like if the other team have had any sort of attacking intent, we're utilising it. Was that where it came from MK?
Yeah, so they were definitely trying to play the ball out from the back. I mean, it's sort of, when the opposition get a midfielder to drop in between the two centre-backs, and they have their centre-backs drop deep for every goal kick. And for the first half, it was looking like they were really stretching us. Their two fullbacks were playing right on the touchline, and it was giving them good width on the pitch. We're finding it hard to figure out whether we should go and press them or sit back. But in the second half, we sort of stepped up our pressing a little bit. There was a few occasions where we just punished them, or caught them out, just trying to play the ball out too much from the back. We were just closing down their centre-backs and their goalkeeper a little bit more. And that sort of really gave us more of an impetus in the game, and probably one of the reasons why we didn't start the game itself so well was because we were kind of a little bit cautious and still trying to figure out what MK Dons were about under this new manager.
Yeah, how much of an impact do you think that had?
It's hard to tell. I think I'm not sure that their manager knew what his best team was, and I think, as I mentioned earlier, the substitution he made was a little bit confusing, to put a defensive midfielder who had been playing at centre back moving into left back position. Sort of, it just didn't work at all. It was a bit mystifying, and if I was an MK Dons fan, I would be slightly concerned that he's made such a poor substitution. But I suppose they didn't really, once they were chasing the game, they didn't really try and step it up to the gears. They didn't sort of try and change anything up about their approach, which I suppose if you got like philosophies about you, that's supposed to be a good thing. But it's a cup tie, you've got to go out and win it, and they didn't try and force it.
Am I right in thinking with Lewington that was his first game back?
Yeah, so basically he'd been offered a new deal over the summer and signed it, and it got to September and MK Don's old manager froze him out, and he'd been training with Charlton, who were managed by Carl Robinson, the former MK Don's manager. And as soon as Nilsson was sacked, Lewington was brought back in, so he hadn't played 90 minutes all season. But they did have a good fullback who was just sitting on the bench. It was just really weird substitution from MK Don's perspective.
Yeah, that is strange. Okay, anything else from the MK Dons game, or shall we throw to the big three against Cambridge?
No, I think basically all my other points about the work rate that McNulty and Biamu put in, they just put an absolute shift in, and they just made things stick up front for us, and they're a really important part of our victory. That's what I wanted to talk about, especially Biamu. You say he just looked far more mobile than anyone has given him credit for, and he was taking players on. It was a real complete performance from him.
I think it'd be fun. I think it'd be really, really interesting to hear Robbins and possibly Tommy Woodrington, if he's been involved in it, talk about the Biamu move and what's happened to him this season, because it's mystifying in a way that I can't think of another player where it's happened for, where there must be something that was seen in him in some sort of raw capacity, or who knows, or maybe he'd had an injury. But it would be fascinating to know what his story is this season from having gone. I just remember that at that pre-season game that I went to, you could just feel that the air of opprobrium was all going towards him. He would really quickly marked him out as someone that people just took against, and he has, through just sheer bloody-minded, like, good performances, has just massively turned everyone round, and quite rightly, hasn't he?
It's been gradual as well. That's what I
Yeah.
find. It's not been. This hasn't just happened since he scored the goal the other day or the other week, whenever it was. It was. We were saying for weeks beforehand, okay, he's not scoring, but he's aiding the team. He's starting to come into his own. So there's been that gradual, and it's just since that goal actually, there's been just another level.
Yeah.
And I may just be moving ourselves into the Cambridge game, which might be a good thing.
It was beautiful. Yeah, go for it.
The way he kind of picked it up again last night, that was by far the best I've seen him play, because it was just there was an extra element to his game. So what we know about him so far is that he's good in the air. I mean, I can never work out just how tall he is. 1 minute he looks tall, 1 minute he looks quite small, but he's good in the air. He wins headers. He's getting better and better at holding up the ball. But what we saw from him last night was just an extra element to his game. So someone who's got a lot of capability with the ball at his feet, and actually he's got a lot of sort of nous and understanding about players around him. And whether that's always been with him, or whether it's kind of just coming with the more he's playing with this team, or whether it's just kind of confidence, which is make him feel like he's got a bit more time on the ball and a bit more time to actually think about things. I don't know what it is, but there's a definite growth there from that guy. And like I say, I thought last night, him alongside some other players put in some really, really good performances. And it kind of takes me back to, I wrote a blog maybe after the first game, and one of the things I said was about this season we're going to have to sort of embrace tenacity over perfection, or something along those lines. And last night was kind of that embodied, because of the pitch. Something has happened to that Rico pitch where it looked better, but it was a million times worse. The bounce was incredibly erratic. I mean, Lee Burge became a victim to that, because all the way through, he's so nervous about his kicking at the moment anyway, and he's got this thing where he just needs to kick it first time every time. And on that pitch, it was so hard to do that, and he was slicing it all over the place. But something about the players all last night, that it was such a hard pitch to play on, and they were making mistakes left, right, and centre, but that wasn't sort of harming their overall performance. They were still putting in all the effort that was necessary to get us a result. And we started really well. We started off the better team, which is odd considering we're supposed to be knackered. They've had 10 days rest, and we were straight out of the blocks. Yeah, McNulty is a completely different player now as well, just looking class above, being able to sort of master the ball, control it as easily as he really needs to. Players like Bayliss, who's just, I mean, I think he's played every game since he's come to the team, and you can see why. He's just such a classy player. He's got vision. He's got more time than anybody else. And what I like about him is actually he does make mistakes as well, like the other players, and that comes from him just wanting to keep the ball and play his natural game. But it doesn't deter him. He just keeps playing. And last night he was just getting the ball down. If it wasn't a good touch, he was still head up, looking around, trying to play the right pass. Goal wise, it was just typical McNulty. He's got this knack at the moment of just being able to stroke the ball past the keeper really nonchalantly. I think Joey, you might have said those exact words yesterday, but it was it's so odd where he gets to the edge of the box and he's able to just drift the ball past keepers with. I mean, is it confidence? Is it the fact that he's just hitting the ball clean, and now that he feels better about himself? I don't know, but it was a really good goal. I mean, you could argue that their keeper, who was some sort of weird hybrid between Nigel Martin, Tony Coton, and Michael Vaughan. I don't know. I can't believe he's a footballer, really. But
do you know he was the keeper who was loved by Adam Armstrong in that Millwall game?
Oh, it was David Ford, of course, yeah.
That would make sense.
Ah, yeah. Who actually was a decent keeper for a while, wasn't he?
What's his name?
So
David Ford.
Oh, it's Ford.
Yeah.
I didn't recognise him.
Yeah, so basically over the past couple of seasons with Portsmouth and Cambridge this year, he's been one of the best keepers in League Two. Just a few occasions where he's just been able to completely shut up shop. And I think in the last game we played against him, he made a number of really, really good saves. So, I don't know. I always like, because of that Adam Armstrong thing, I can never accept that he's a good keeper, no matter how many times I see people talking about him as a good keeper.
Is this David Ford who played for Ireland?
Yeah.
David Ford.
Yeah.
Really? God, that's
Yeah.
a fall from grace.
I was going to say, it seems
memory of
mad
this
that he's
guy
in
now
League
is-
Two.
Oh, this is incredible. Because if you watched him last night, I've got a few memories of him. Obviously, letting in the goals, and another one of him just standing there looking quite portly, sticking his belly out, not really realising that a whole stadium was looking at him. I mean, that was dreadful. And then a minute later, he was kind of inverted, and he's sticking his arse out, and he just looked fat either way. And it was just like, this isn't. He's falling away quite rapidly, isn't he? I mean, he's Cambridge now.
He's a lot older than I thought he was. He's 38.
Oh, really?
I thought he was about 30. I'm quite surprised.
Yeah,
that makes more sense. I mean, the guy is, he's doing pretty well. I'd be happy
I'd say
to look like
he's
that
aging
when
rapidly, but he's aging at the same rate as everybody else, I guess.
Yeah.
But just he's showing it more. I thought he was pretty sloppy last night. He just didn't seem capable of sort of saving anything. I mean, would have been hard to save Shipley's header. That was a great header. Great play by on the right. I think it was Grimmer ended up taking it in and putting it into McNulty, who for the life of me I thought he was going to smash it towards goal, but then he had the wherewithal to dink it to the back post, and Shipley.
It's a really smart chip, isn't it?
It was just all round really good goal, and the way he sort of loops it back over him. And I mean, what made me laugh about Shipley was his celebration. So he come running over to all the fans, and he does the whole big pointing at his shirt, turning his back, standing there all sort of mercurial like. And then so you sort of think, oh, this guy's really confident. And then he proceeded after the kickoff to make 7 mistakes in a row. And you sort of think, oh, I don't know if you're quite ready to make those gestures yet, Jordan, if you've got that level of mistake about you. But it was just quite funny because you sort of think, like, when Rooney, when he scored that overhead kick and he went and did that sort of godlike gesture in the corner, you sort of think, yeah, you're at the top of your game now. Yeah. Nothing can stop you. Shipley, it wasn't anywhere near as grand, but it was something very similar where he went to the corner, stood there kind of looking at, waiting for the adulation, pointing at his number. And then you think, okay, this is great. He's really feeling it. And then just to be quite obviously dreadful for another 5 minutes afterwards. It was very funny. But
that thing of what he did, I only saw it on the replay, so I might have got the wrong end of the stick. I think he did that thing where he turned his back to the crowd and used his thumbs to point to his own name. Is that right?
Exactly it, yeah.
Which I think is usually reserved for where players have been like under fire, or they haven't been playing, and it's like a message to the manager or to. I couldn't quite get what he was getting at, really. But it was like, I'm Jordan Shipley. You're like, yeah, we know you're Jordan Shipley. You've played most of the games recently. We thought you'd be quite good. I wondered
whether it was a bit of a point towards the MK Dons thing, because obviously he got dropped for that game. And whether, you don't know, I mean, to all of us, we just sort of thought, he's moved out of the team. But to him, I guess he's played most of the games recently. That was a huge match, and he'd suddenly, out of nowhere, really, kind of been dropped from the team, and you don't know how personal these kids are going to take it. So, maybe. I mean, I've read loads into that and thought that's probably what it was all about. But before we know, he could just really think he's brilliant.
Part of me hopes he does. I just thought it was just funny, weren't it? You were like, all right, yeah, we know. We know who you are.
We're with you, mate. Honestly, we like you too.
We're really pleased you've just scored.
Yeah.
It's 2-0.
Yeah. But I text you at half time, I think, and said, so, yeah, we should win this 4-0. I don't like to do predictions, but I just felt like we were all over them. They were wholly awesome, or awful, I mean, as a team. They really were quite bad, I thought, first half. And apart from that, they had a couple of chances near the end where they kind of moved into it. Their big number 9 up front was starting to get the ball a little bit, and he was causing a bit of an issue. But I thought we had the opportunity. It was one of those games where if we really wanted to, if we were really clinical, we could have taken it to him second half and sort of finished it off with reasonable ease, but we didn't. And there was a lot of panic in the second half, and I can never quite work out where this comes from, because the players that you look at, you think the kids might panic, and the older heads will be the ones sort of helping you out. But actually, the ones with the ball who were panicking the most were Chris Stokes and Michael Doyle, who were they were the ones making the more mistakes than anybody, which is just really odd, because I kind of fancy them as to be the ones who will really kind of steady the ship and make sure that when everybody else is going a bit mad they will at least kind of sort of sort them out and just say, look, keep the ball, keep sensible. But no, they weren't. They were quite crazy for a good portion of that second half. But it comes back to my point about, okay, they weren't perfect, but the stuff they were doing, so they were making mistakes with the ball, but they were still working really hard. And it could have been really easy in that game not to work hard. I mean, it was one of those 2-0 up. You can kind of take your foot off the gas a little bit and kind of cruise. But when you had Biamu and McNulty just chasing everything down up front, you had Doyle in midfield making mistakes but still chasing everything, and you had the defenders all throwing their bodies on the line, and you had Lee Burge, who was kicking like he'd never played football before, and yet still playing with his hands really well. Which actually, as a keeper, if you want a choice, you'd go with that. You'd happily take someone who's good with their hands. And yeah, I mean, they got the goal, and it kind of gave them a little bit of fight, but we showed great sort of spirit to come back straight from that and just sort of, hang on, this is rubbish. Why are we 2-1? We should be dominating this game. And within, I don't know, 5-10 minutes or so, we went back at the other end. Biamu, like I say, had great awareness with the ball, great control with the ball, rolled it through. McNulty, massive air shot. And then here comes the main man, Michael Doyle, slashing it into the net in the 90th minute, and then does his trademark celebration, which is just running up the touchline, which I love. I think it just does it so like, spectacularly well. Just that trademark Michael Doyle run up the touchline, just like laughing at the fact that he's just scored a goal. I love it. Yeah, it was just I mean, it wasn't much of an atmosphere, but it was a pretty comfortable game, I felt, and it's kind of set us up quite nicely now.
How did Doyle play?
Yeah, like I say, he gave the ball away a lot, but he's a captain, isn't he? He keeps everyone playing well, even if he's not doing the right things himself. He makes sure other people around him are. So yeah, he's such a valuable player, and the fact that he's pushing 40 now and he's still playing. Is he 40? He's 36, isn't he?
He's cracking on, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just he's really fit, really valuable to the team, and he's just a professional. He understands the game more than most other players. He doesn't, like I say, for someone who gives the ball away as much as he does, it doesn't affect him. I mean, he will still play the same game without the ball, regardless of what's happening with it. And I mentioned it a few times, but the pitch was so hard to play on last night. I can imagine it was just this odd combination of being like a bog, but it was like a hardened bog. So there was green grass around it, but it was just rock solid, it seemed, and the bounce was just all over the place. So it took the players a long time to get used to it, and he was one of the players who struggled with his first touch more than most. But no, he's our captain, and we need him to stick it out. And I feel like he's played pretty much every game this season, and let's hope he can stick it out for the whole season, because he makes a difference.
I mean, I love him, obviously, but I think I've been critical of him at different points of the season. But you wonder whether there's something to him, isn't there? He's a really odd player that he does so much wrong, but you have a strong sense of the fact that we're a better team with him in it. Is that fair? Is that a feeling that's shared?
Yeah. I mean, just to jump back in again, any other league, I'd probably have an issue with him, because I think there's a balance to be made between sort of good quality and, like I say, tenacity. Where when you get down to this level and you've seen everybody else playing in a similar sort of erratic manner, you forgive that erratic nature with the ball because of the other stuff which actually we get real benefit from. So the captain's performance, the shouting at players, the berating of refs, all this really sort of stuff which isn't really football, but in the same sense it is football. You need players around you who can do that. So yeah. I didn't like him as a championship player. I didn't think he had the quality to kind of deal with that league, and I always had issues with him because I felt we could do better. This level, where we're at the moment, this team, we need him in the middle. No questions asked.
Good stuff. Have I ever told you my strange Michael Doyle and Leeds story?
No, go on.
I think it's only fairly brief. My wife and I were at a convention in Leeds, of all places, and we'd stayed overnight. And in the hotel bar, he'd had one season on loan with Leeds. They'd got one. It was like they had some sports on, and I think they might have had like that thing that some places do, where they have like a sort of like a shirt medley of just, random football shirts and whatever.
Yeah.
But the one thing that they'd got, pride of place, above the bar, not signed but framed, was a Michael Doyle Leeds shirt.
And peculiar, isn't it?
And I happened to know a Leeds fan at the time that had said that despite the amount of games he'd played, he had not been particularly good. It just seemed really... I was like, is that Michael Doyle's shirt? And I thought, it's not even signed. It's not even like he came in one night and they donated a shirt. It's just it's like it was just their own shirt. They were like, I know where this has got to go.
That's strange. It's that split between football fans, though, isn't it? You've got the difference. Some people just love that kind of player, regardless of what he's like. If he's any good or not, they love it. It's like Gary Deegan things. People love him. Actually, he's not too bad on the ball, but that mentalist in the middle of the pitch who's just willing to fight for everything. Some fans just love it, don't they?
I always have fond memories of Gary Deegan because of that goal that he scored against QPR, I think it was. That would have been going the most wide that any shot would have gone, and hit someone in the leg and bounced into the top corner. I was like, yes, Gary Deegan, that's a great goal.
He was the main man for them last night. It's strange to think that Gary Deegan he was always like a supplementary player for us, but he was the main man in midfield.
He popped up with some goals. That was the other thing about Deegan, weren't it?
Yeah, inexplicable goals.
Did he score? Did we draw with Leicester 2-2 one season, and it was James McPake and Deegan that got the goals?
Was McPake some sort of overhead volley as well?
It was.
It was, yeah. That's all weird.
It seems like a mad fever dream thinking about that era, doesn't it? Because we had players in the Championship that you'd think would not be good enough to play for us now, wouldn't you?
Strange, isn't it? You don't know where the context sort of warps your memory a little bit. But you look back and you think, the state of some of our teams back then.
Yeah.
He's retired, by the way. Did he retire
I saw that, yeah.
No one will be pleased.
Yeah, they can strike up their conversation again. He's a funny one, James McPake, because I didn't think much of him aesthetically when he played for us. And then I've seen pictures of him later in his career where he's got a little beard and stuff. He's ever so handsome.
He's been reading GQ or something, hasn't he?
I never realised. He just, he had he had that bald head and everything when he was playing for us. And then he cleaned himself right up. He's lovely. He seems like a nice chap, doesn't he? Okay, right, let's do some... What should we do first? Let's do some preview first. So we've got Forest Green again on Saturday. They've become a bit of an odd team, haven't they, recently? They've gone from being absolutely awful to occasionally picking up some points, have they not?
Yeah, I mean, they're still awful, but they are a weird team. I saw a stat recently that they've won the most games this season from losing positions, which is generally a good sign for a team. But I suppose it's also a sign that a team is falling behind a lot. I mean, they're a team that creates few chances, scores few goals, but they have one of the top scorers in the division in Christian Doidge. It's just hard to really make head or tail of them. It's like they are a bad team, but you can't write them off. They're sort of, I don't know, like that's sort of like Sunderland or us in the Premiership, where it's like everything is going wrong and there's no reason why this team should be surviving, but they just pull results out of the bag from nowhere. Although they are in the bottom two and are currently losing to Exeter.
Yeah, 2-0 live as we speak. But I guess an away loss at Exeter is probably nothing to be sniffed at or whatever. And they've got a game in hand on Chesterfield, who were one place above them. It's not totally certain that they could go down. I mean, there are a lot of poor teams in this league, isn't it? You really feel like a lot of these teams, rather than could be relegated, really should be relegated for the level of class that we've seen. So you mentioned Christian Doidge. Who else should we look out for?
So Doidge is really the main man of the side. He's a real sort of complete centre forward. He's not only a good finisher, but he's a big player. He can score goals from inside and outside the area. He can create his own chances, which is pretty important in a team that doesn't create much chances as a team itself. I also recently signed Ruben Reid from Exeter, which looked like a really looked like a bit of a coup for a team struggling at the wrong end of League Two. Signed someone who, over the past sort of 5 or 6 years, has been one of the best strikers in League Two. However, Ruben Reid, I'll point out, has only scored 1 goal since the middle of September. So there's a reason why Forest Green got him. Also, their wide men, Keanu Marsh-Brown, who scored that bizarre goal in the reverse fixture where
That's a lovely name, isn't it? Keanu
Yeah.
Marsh-Brown.
Yeah, strong in it.
Yeah, and on the other wing, they've got another player with a good name, Dale Grubb, who was recently signed from non-league Western Supermare. And it's just one of those non-league names, Dale Grubb. But he's looked a really good player coming in, sort of a winger who can score goals. So that's pretty good. Although coming from semi-pro football, you probably just question his fitness. At the back, Forest Green are a really weird side because they want to play football out from the back, but they've got a load of lump and central defenders throughout the team. They're not averse to playing a back four of 4 central defenders. They've spent quite a bit of money over January, and they've signed a load of agricultural centre-backs just to make things even weirder in that regard. So their back two is going to be Hayden Hollis, who's a 6'4" centre-back from Notts County, who was very error-prone, and Farron Rawson, who we saw during our time here, during his time with us, that he was pretty good in the air, but as soon as the ball was anywhere near his feet, he didn't know what to do with it. And they're playing Gavin Gunning at left back, who's another sort of just head it centre back, and they're going to also have another centre back in midfield, Lee Collins, who's playing alongside Isaiah Osborne, the brother of Isaac Osborne. So there's a big sort of level of physicality in the side, even though their manager Mark Cooper wants them to be a footballing team, which is a bit weird, but it does make them kind of a bit aggressive and awkward at times, and also error prone.
I want to ask you a bit more about Mark Cooper, but I want to ask you something much more important to start off with. Keanu Marsh-Brown, apparently born 1992. Mini quiz is a point to the person who can name a Keanu Reeves film as close to 1992 as they can.
Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Stoker's Dracula.
So hang on a second. Neil, you went for Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
That's probably 1990, isn't it?
Clear distinction. Is 1989. So it's a very, very good first guess. Dom, you've gone for Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Yeah.
Dead on the money at 1992. That's incredible. How on earth did you know that?
That was a complete guess, although I'll just say 92 was the year I was born in.
I was going to say, when were you born? It's not fair. This is a memorable year for you.
Even still, I mean, fantastic work, both of you. Yeah, it just occurred to me, I wonder what... Because you've got to think that name is reasonably unique to him.
Yeah.
I just wondered what film they'd seen him in when they'd decided that was going to be the thing. I think it's quite funny, the thought of watching Bill and Ted and thinking, that's what I'm going to
call my kid him.
Yeah. Mark Cooper, reasonable record, and an interesting record in different places. Better than Forest Green?
He's had a really weird career. So he was I think he was managing Kettering when they're in the conference doing really well. And when Peterborough were first in the championship, he was sort of that cycle of McCall Smith and Boyd and McLean. And when Darren Ferguson was sacked that season, Mark Cooper was parachuted in from the conference into the championship, and he's completely out of his depth because he just tried to play long ball football. He signed that 6'4", 6'6" player Exeter's Gio Hagan, whose basically only talent was long throws.
Right.
And he was the manager in charge when Freddie Eastwood scored a hat-trick at the Rico. So,
I didn't realise that. Okay.
Yeah, it didn't work out from there. He went back to the conference, few jobs where he sort of did reasonably okay. Then he ended up as assistant manager at Swindon, and he ended up getting a job because they couldn't appoint anyone else after Paolo Di Canio, and then Kevin McDonald was the manager. He left just before the start of the season, and then Cooper was allowed to be manager because, as I said, they couldn't get anyone else, and he was in charge of that side, which were really good with like Jack Stevens at the back, Yasser Kasim and Massimo Luongo in midfield, and they made the playoffs. They were playing excellent football. They just a really good side, picking up all these young kids from the Premier League, and then it quickly fell to pieces. And then He went to Notts County, just about kept them up by the skin of their teeth, and then he ended up at Forest Green. And he seems quite a weird personality. He seems quite stubborn. Although he has sort of changed between being a long ball manager to a more progressive style of managing the football he wants to play. He absolutely piles through the number of players he goes through. Last season, when Forest Green could use the loan window, it was basically every couple of months he was signing 5 or 6 players and building a new attack. So he's an interesting personality. I think he's managing Forest Green for a reason.
Yeah, just an interesting. So I know that this means very little, but it's something that I look at occasionally. Is his win percentage everywhere he's been has been pretty decent, even when it's not gone amazingly. 57% at Kettering, 41 at Darlington. Oh, 7.7 at Peterborough is probably an outlier.
Sweet.
That's not great. Yeah, but over 40 at Swindon, over 40 at Forest Green. Yeah, just interesting, like you say, an interesting career more than anything else. But yeah, anyway, so back on track. A prediction for the Forest Green game.
I am going to tip us to win this game 2-1.
Oh, nice. Neil, while you're here, do you fancy predicting Ahoy?
No.
Okay.
Don't believe in them.
I thought I'd... okay, good stuff. Should we do some questions?
Yeah.
Let's throw these back and forth. Let me find them first. Okay. Question from Joe Harty on Twitter. Given how much... I don't know why I say on Twitter like there's any other place... Oh, actually, oh my God. I was about to say like there's no other place they could come from. But that's just reminded me. We did get one from email. So yes. I shouldn't have got so excited about that. But it's literally the first time that's happened, I think. Joe Harty on Twitter. Given how much better we look with him backing up Stokes, is Shipley our most underrated player? Defensively aware and communicative, but attacks well too. Missed him first half of MK. Let's throw that to Neil.
I think that's a bit much. He's still finding his feet, if you ask me. I think he at least now feels part of the first team. He feels completely competent as a first team player. He has plenty of games where he does very little, but I think what he does offer us is a sort of structure and shape. I'm not entirely sold on him yet. I think there's still a lot more for him to show, but I think as a sort of like I say, structurally, it works having a pure left-footed player who can kind of commit to that position. So, yeah, I'm not quite as emphatic on him just yet.
The thing, my two penneth on it, is I think this good run has coincided with Cambridge aside, possibly. We have played a few more teams, and it's been highlighted especially because of the highs of Stoke and MK Dons, where he's been quite useful. Swindon was the same, where having a more defensively minded wide player against teams who were looking to do you damage is quite good. And the problem ultimately that I've got isn't with him, is possibly more with Robbins, is where then when you play, I guess in a game like last night perhaps, although I've been shown up immediately, then that's not switched up by having a much more attacking player against a team that are more likely to sit back. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, he brought on Haynes, partly, I guess, because of sort of tiredness and that, but partly because it kind of, the gaps were there to exploit. So, I completely agree. I mean, you get a certain type of left-sided player there, and if you're looking for absolute sort of solidity across the middle or within that portion of the pitch, he's a very good option because he's not a marauding left winger, but he's very competent at sort of keeping his position and actually working quite well with the players around him. I mean, that's quite admirable for someone of his age. He's really quite disciplined. But yeah, I guess what he needs to do, if he wants to, as terms of sort of progressing his career, is he a left winger? Is he going to be able to sustain that as a sort of position throughout his career? I don't know. I always think it's it's nice to be versatile and it's nice to be a player who can kind of play everywhere, but I think ultimately he does need to kind of sort of understand or try and assert himself in a certain position and kind of develop that just so that he's got options, because we know our players are like that. I can't imagine he'll be with us for much more than 2 years. It's just the way it goes. They don't stick around for that long. So he needs to kind of he needs to figure that one out really, because individually he's nice, but he's one of those players that I can't quite work out where he sits.
Okie doke. Next one. So, question via email from Stephen Wright. Hello, Stephen. How many people will we take to Brighton, Dom?
I
think it's quite.
Do you want me to consult my algorithm?
I think it's 4,500 tickets, isn't it, that we'll get? If they give us, I think the standard thing is it's 15% of the stadium, and I think that means it's 4,500. So that's quite a simple one to answer, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let's see, legit questions. Ian Heron, friend of the show, Ian Heron. The top of the table is bonkers. Who's going to blink first? Us, Notts County, Wickham, Mansfield, Swindon, Accrington, Exeter, or Lincoln? I mean, let's assume for a start that Notts County are massively blinking at the minute. Who else in there do you think might fall away, Dom?
Fall away is a hard question. So I just got to tell you what. I would say I'm quite impressed by the recent form of Wickham and Mansfield Town.
Yeah.
Mansfield Town, who's sort of been lingering behind, and sort of the suspicion has been that they're having a bit of a disappointing season. They've been missing the 20-goal season striker that Steve Evans had wanted, and they haven't actually signed him over January either. But they're in fantastic form at the minute, and I think they're a side that could really sort of start to move up the gear soon. We've got to be worried about Wickham as well. I mean, just the raw power of that side, just the ability just to nick a goal, whether from a set piece or deflecting something off Akinfenwa, I'd be worried about that. In terms of who I think is going to fall away from the top, I mean, aside from Notts County, I don't feel too confident asserting that anyone's going to fall away. I think the top 7 to like 9th is pretty much going to be in place in some order towards the end of the season to be really boring. Perhaps another team who could like come up on the rails is Crawley, who are in a really good run of form at the moment too.
Yeah, Crawley has gone. Sorry, go on.
Sorry, just a point on Luton. I don't know if Ian mentioned Luton, but sort of on the face of it, you look at that and you think 10 points, that's unassailable. But then when you look at the reality of the situation, and disclaimer, this isn't me saying this is going to happen, but this is just saying how things could turn out. So we've got a game in hand on them. Win that. Easier said than done, but you win that. That's your extra 3 points. We've still got to play them, beat that. You gain another 3 points. That's 6 points on the bat, just like us doing what a team that's going for promotion should do. And then the only thing that needs to happen beyond that for us to kind of essentially level with them is for us to 1 week win a game where they don't win a game. Now, not to oversimplify things, but I don't think they're gone just yet. Obviously, they're a good team, but especially if I'm looking at it from our point of view and I'm looking at their situation, that all seems really quite feasible, that we can at least try and rein them in a little bit. The ultimate caveat there is we need to be a promotion-worthy team, and we need to continue this form that we're showing at the moment. And we've seen the years gone by that we struggle to do that. But if we continue playing the way we're playing and do the business against all those teams around us like we have been doing, I don't even think they're gone yet. I mean, but a lot of people are saying, okay, they're going to win it, and then we're worrying about the people believing that. But I actually think they're still very much in sort of grappling distance.
I think if we carry on winning 2 in 3 league games, we could finish anywhere, couldn't we? But obviously, it's easier said than done.
Yeah.
Okie doke. Then probably a rhetorical question, but the one that made me chuckle from Tom Foster. How much time has been spent waiting for Lee Burge to clean the mud off his boots on the posts before goal kicks? In brackets, especially when we're winning. Please give your answer to the nearest millennia. So I thought that was funny.
He's very good at doing that, isn't he?
He is quite. Question from Steve Jones. He says, how much money would you be happy for Bayliss to leave for at this point? And I'll give you some breaking news now. The Coventry Observer have just tweeted to say that Derby have had an offer turned down for him. We've got, time is it now? We've got 1 hour and 20 minutes left of the yellow ticker. But how much do you think Bayliss is worth, Neil?
We need to be really careful with this one. We've learned in the past, recognise the value of what we've got currently, and kind of the current context, which is he's an established and really important part of this promotion team. So it's kind of working out what the ultimate goal is and what's more important. We need to get promoted this season, and him being in that team gives us a very good chance of that happening. Selling him at this point disrupts a lot of things. We saw that with Madison. Even the nature of just selling the player changes the whole philosophy of how people think about that player. I can't even imagine, and this is going to be daft if this comes out tomorrow and we've sold him, but I can't imagine a scenario where we're selling that player. They have to throw mental money at us.
That was exactly the phrase that I would describe it as. Yeah. It would
they
be
just have to. I mean, it's not worth it. It's not worth a couple of million because it's too late for us to do anything with that immediately. We need to worry about right now. Right now, as we're establishing a team that's going to set us up for promotion to get to League One. Nothing else matters at the moment. It's 2 million it might be great for their coffers, and this is where we have to worry about Sisu, because if their motivation, as we probably all know, is money, if a bid of such sort of magnitude comes in and they just take it, I mean, I think that says to all of us exactly what they're all about. It's just we can't make the same mistakes that we've made so many times before. We just we need to be resolute and say, look, come back to us in the summer. We need to figure this season out first.
I don't know about you. I'd have to check this because I'm not 100% sure of it. But I think the point where we started winning, 2 of every 3 games, pretty much coincides with him coming into the team, doesn't it?
Definitely.
You would
it's just a different level.
In the same way that I think if we lost McNulty's goals, or if we lost, dare I say it, Biamu at this point, I think he's the other big one that if you took him out of the team now, I'm not sure we've got, not even to say that he's the best player in the world, I don't think we've got a replacement for him. And for the dynamics of the team, you can't...
Yeah, exactly.
That team is working on his defensive ability and forward thrust. He's able to do both of them jobs, isn't he? And Doyle is sort of next to him kicking people, which is fine. But that we've seen that Stevenson doesn't offer that same stability. Kelly doesn't offer the same level of forward thrust. Like you say, it's far too late to replace him. And he might be amazing, mightn't he? So it would, to use your phrase, and it's the same thing that I had in my head, is it would take mental money. Then let's have a look through here. Does anybody listen to the Totally Football Show podcast?
Yeah.
Did anyone hear this week's with Dr. Tom Markham, the
oh yes,
football finance person, who said that it wasn't very. I mean, I guess it's because it's not a Cov podcast. But I was quite surprised there's not been more made of it. He said very explicitly that he had been involved in legit concrete bids for, not involved in the sense of putting money in or whatever, but he was aware of real life, proper, legit bids that the club had turned down. He was saying he's got no idea what newsflash, but that he was saying he'd got no idea what their plan was because he'd seen a bid that was completely legit that they turned down.
Yeah, it's odd. I mean, for me, the point where I've tried to start applying logic to what CC do was when they brought us back from administration. It's like, this is not going to get better from this. You've literally taken us out of our ground into a new city. There's almost no assets to the club. There's nothing, and you're still buying it. Why? I don't understand.
But having spoken to, and only briefly, I'm not exactly fucking chummy with them, but I've spoken to Joy Zapala and I've spoken to Tim Fisher, and you do get a sense from both of them that they feel some level of personal responsibility that they want to rectify. But the problem is, the best way to rectify it would be to go. I think they think that ultimately what will happen is they will turn it round. I think they think that they will resolve it and that they will patch things up with everyone, and everyone will go, yeah, it was awful, but I'm glad that we're back in the Premier League now or whatever. I just think it's terrifying that it's so hubristic to think that that's ultimately the way it's going to go, because it's not going to. That's not what's going to happen.
It's utterly deluded, isn't it? Really,
yeah.
Because we've seen now every time anything good happens, it's in spite of Sisu.
Yeah, I just
every
think
every time anything with the Checkatrade Trophy, all of that stuff, every era where we brought in that insane team, it was all in spite of Sisu. So regardless of what they do, it's not their ultimate aim it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't align with the way people feel about them.
If they want to inspire an open top bus parade in their name, the best thing they could do would be to sell the club, wouldn't it?
Can we make that happen? Can we actually organise an open bus stop? That'd be quite good.
We could email them and say, I'm sure that there's a couple of Cov fans that have got a few good deals on coaches. I think that's pretty much where we're at questions wise. Do you want a big transfer deadline day update?
Yeah, what we got?
No, there isn't one.
Oh, bloody hell. Not on left now either. I'm waiting for Madison to leave, but that's not going to happen.
Oh, my God. That was bad, wasn't it?
Ugh.
No amount
Why is it only us?
No amount of hilarious
Doesn't
Chinese
seem fair.
takeaway photos could dampen the pain of that one. Right, I think we might be done. Anything else that anyone wants to go through?
Not particularly. Not while there's still an hour or so left of hot transfer action, which we may or may not be right on.
Yeah, well, let's get away and get ourselves parked in front of Sky Sports News for the next hour and 20 minutes. If you want to get in touch with us, it's at Neil Lamptey Show on Twitter or neillampteyshow@gmail.com on email. Neil, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Dominic, thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure.
And thank you for listening. Bye.